The HATER is a wild new asymmetric hybrid ball coming from Deviate on March 21st, and it'll make your opponents hate bowling you more than a boomer bowling a two-hander throwing urethane at string pins on a league night. I am on the Kegel Chromium Challenge pattern at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, where they always take great care of us. We use this pattern for testing because it's a good benchmark pattern. It's not too easy, but it's not too tough, so it really helps us figure out where balls fit, how they relate and compare to each other. The graph is linked in the description if you want to take a look at the details. My layout information is up on the screen for those that understand, and if you don't know what all the numbers mean or all the core numbers we're going to talk about next, I have a few instructional videos linked in the description that will teach you everything you need to know about cores, core dynamics, and layouts, but I still need to share the details for the more experienced viewers. The HATER at first glance seems like your typical big sanded hybrid ASIM with one shocking exception. The cover is the strongest version of HK22 that Deviate has used thus far in HK22 Havoc Hybrid, which comes out of the box at 1500 grit, which is pretty dull, but which surprisingly seems to be okay. If you're going to use this in League or you have a big rev rate and or a slower speed, probably want to shine this one up or at least take it up to 3,000 or 4,000 grit. The HATER core is what's really interesting. It's got a shockingly high RG for an ASIM at 2.539, so basically 254, which will help this otherwise super strong ball to get down the lane easier without rolling or revving so soon. The differential is high at 0.54, so there's plenty of flare, and the int diff or PSA strength is a huge 0.24. The literature mentions that the HATER handles oil like the Hellcat XLR8, but has a stronger move on the back end. When I throw good. I think it's already obvious, but I love the HATER. It's a strong ball, but the effect that higher RG has is very welcome. It has plenty of traction, it's extremely stable, rolling, and consistent, but again, it isn't as early and doesn't slow down as fast as other more typical super low RG ASIMs with covers this strong. I've had a lot of trouble finding balance between a ball that will control the mid lane and the back end without being too early or forcing me in too deep. The left side of the lane just feels permanently cliffed, and while I realize most people will drop into the comments to try to be helpful, I've tried everything. Layout, surfaces, speeds, angles, but there's no track on the left side, so there's very little to no stability, and then everything's a boomerang, aka very sharp and responsive. I mean, you've seen urethane balls shaped like reactive balls for Butters, Jesper, Packy, etc. Lefties don't exactly just default to urethane because they want to. There's a lot of stuff I'd love to throw, but I usually find myself trapped in the same few balls constantly. Anyway, to make my point, the HATER feels like a great solution for cliff conditions, fresh sport conditions, or for bowlers who need a stronger ball but have trouble controlling more dynamic or responsive balls. I think this one should be pretty high on the list for higher rev rates, either one-handed or two-handed, lefties of course, and I think that this would make an amazing one ball for college bowlers, etc. To really perk some ears up, the HATER feels a lot like the original dark green RSTX1. Remember, the core in the RST was similarly high RG for an ASIM. Now the HATER is a handful of points higher on the int diff, so a stronger asymmetry or more torque, but the reactions are extremely familiar. Same general strength, same general shape, and there really hasn't been a ball like the X1 since the X1. The HATER will be a ball down from something like the Pure Madness, so if the Pure is too strong, early, or slow, this is still obviously a more controllable reaction like the Pure, it's just not quite as much of it. It's a nice complement to the Archetype Hybrid, which has similar numbers, but which is cleaner and a fair amount sharper. The HATER is earlier and smoother, and the Archetype is longer and sharper, but in the same strength zone. It's pretty familiar to the Ultimate Defender, but the UD has a much lower RG and int diff, so earlier rolling and not as much torque. The UD definitely wants to wind up and start moving several feet earlier than the HATER. Finally, a nice ball down would be the Endeavor. It's basically the same RG, it's just a shiny pearl that's also symmetric. That will be cleaner to drop down into once transition pushes you out of the HATER. Once again, March 21st is the release date for the HATER, Radical's Radical Conspiracy, and Outer Limits Pearl, as well as Hammer's Hammer Effect, and Black Pearl Urethane, and last but not least, Ebonite's GB5. Down in the description is a link to Bowler's Mart that will get any of the balls featured in this video ordered for you. I do have to note that I do receive a 5% commission on all sales through the links, and of course don't forget my code ROSEDOLL10 to get 10% off your order at checkout at CoolWick. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.